Town Baton Rouge. Talk about safety in the capital city. We chatted with Adam Knapp from the Baton Rouge Area Chamber in our last segment. And Bayou Gal posted up on Twitter, it's a shame that the city won't install and pay for the cameras. So the city's got limited resources and doing everything they can with those resources, Bayou Gal. I don't think it's a shame. I think it's a note of encouragement to see all of us sort of rally and say, this is our city. This is our city. We can't leave law enforcement out on an island. We have a role to play here as well. And I mean, it's a different tone, to be sure, to not just throw up your hands and say, hey, not my job. But I like where Safe BR is going, and the numbers are hopefully going to back that up. Welcoming into the studio right now, Baton Rouge Police Chief Murphy Paul. Good morning, sir. How are you?
Fine. I would like to address that first question. You know, the city has committed over several $100,000 for cameras. So this is a coalition. I think what Safe BR doing is helping build on that. Cameras are becoming our new witnesses. The more cameras we have out there, the better. We just had meetings last week with some of our partners for connectivity. So the city, through the use of American Rescue Plan dollars, have committed funding for cameras as well. So this is a combination of both.
Yeah, it's anytime you can multiply resources through any way possible. I tend to lean towards the encouragement rather than the negative.
Absolutely.
Speaking of which, homicide numbers look like they're, I don't want to say trending in the right direction, but they both definitely posted up a more favorable number recently.
Well, you know, look, we have too many homicides. I always say one homicide is far too many. I believe first quarter in the city, we were down around 44% in homicides, parish-wide around 35%. Right now, those numbers have been trending as of last week around 42%, and non-fatals as well. So, you know, we know when we met last year with all of our law enforcement partners and we came up with the strategic plan to reduce gun violence, we're seeing some steps in the right progress when it comes to that, ending the year with 23% reductions in the parish, and then as well as non-fatals around 14%. And now building on that. So hopefully we can continue doing that. But it's hard for people to feel that when there's still another shooting, there's still another homicide. And those are the things that, you know, when we start talking about those underlying issues, there's a lot of work going on. In fact, our police officers made a significant arrest just as we're speaking.
Yes.
When it comes to crime, more than 4,000 felony arrests last year. So we are continuing to build on that. Where are we at today? When we look last week, we had some increases in calls for services last week, but year to date, in the last 28 days, we were still down compared to last year. 27% decrease in non-fatals as compared to last year, and 22% less people injured in shooting incidents. So those are things that we're continuing to build on. You know, today when I leave here, we have our ComStat meeting, and to see how our commanders are engaged in using data with hotspots. You know, our Peace Cop, which I really want to thank Eric Romero and his team that put together our Public Safety Common Operation picture, which actually helps us with our strategic plan and looking at those what we call micro areas where crime has been persistent. And we believe those efforts are in part why we're seeing some decreases.
Let's talk about this just a little bit, because this is one where I like to dig in on. It's I don't want to say a new approach, but definitely one that the more we can adopt it, the better. The more the input, the better the output.
Yep.
Walk us through what these micro areas are and what you've learned along the way as a result of focusing on them.
Sure. So these are areas in our city where there's consistent calls for services, for whether it's violence incidents or any type of call for service. We call that hotspots. We've been focusing on the violent crime. So what we do now is we've put our police officers in those areas at the specific times based on the data. And we also have what's called actionable intelligence. You know, unfortunately, we do have individuals in our city, groups in our city that don't like each other. In fact, we have actionable intelligence on a recent shooting that happened last week that we believe there was some retaliatory events, that shootings that happened as a result of that shooting. Individuals that, so what we do with that is our intelligence division presents that what we call actionable intelligence, and we direct resources in those areas to try to prevent that retaliatory shooting from happening.
How much cooperation is needed for that? I mean, it's you can offer help, but if it's not, if it's rejected, it's rejected.
I can tell you two things that we know work from last year when we got that 23% and building on it this year. Two things that we know evidence-based that work.
Okay.
Hotspot policing, putting police officers in the area at the time. Presence does make a difference. Focused deterrence, right? Focusing on that small group of individuals, giving them the attention. One of the problems that we're having is we are arresting them, but then we're arresting them again and again because they keep getting out of jail. But we're going to continue to keep that pressure on those individuals who are involved in violent crime until they're held accountable by the district attorney's office as well as the courts.
You talk about arresting again and that's been a common theme on this show. Is it's worth bringing up when you see someone who's arrested for something and somewhere right in that news story it says they were already out on bond. Are we starting to see that trend in the right direction?
There's some progress in that. Hiller's office, the district attorney's office, as well as the judges, have been listening to our concerns. We have had meetings with them. We're starting to see some increases, and I think you talked about that earlier. With some of the bonds, but I think the accountability piece, there has to be more on that piece. I believe you just spoke with Adam Knapp in our efforts to pass legislation with monitoring devices. I think there's a lot of technology over there that in the event someone makes a bond, that there can be more accountability. We need to, there needs to be some type of standardization on what monitoring looks like, right? And how technology can be used to keep people safer and also to notify law enforcement at the appropriate times.
It was just completely confounding, Chief, to him. By the way, Baton Rouge Police Chief Murphy Paul is our guest. The first time I heard that when an ankle monitor goes off, y'all weren't alerted to it. It's one of those ones where you just assume. Like if an ankle monitor battery dies, someone would be alerted. I know when you make an assumption, you know the rest of that phrase, but it's one where you hear the story, it's like, wait, what? Seriously?
Well, as you know, we've dedicated a couple of $100,000 of our dollars in the police department to help build a program of accountability for high-risk individuals. So we're still waiting for that to go through the city council for approval, but we're committed to this. We understand that the more we focus on that small group that's out there causing us problems and the more we can hold them accountable, the safer the community is going to be.
Baton Rouge Police Chief Murphy Paul is our guest. Got a couple more minutes. While we're talking about the previous segment with Adam there, can we talk a little bit about the Page Rice Camera Initiative and how have y'all been able to utilize it so far? Because this is supposed to feed back to the Real-Time Crime Center. So
absolutely, yes, real-time. We got several businesses that took advantage of it. It's a build out of our a Connect Blue initiative that we started in the Real-Time Crime Center. And it's given us very high quality video evidence that help in our investigative efforts. We approached a business from a complaint up in the near Southern University. There was a business there that we received a lot of complaints. We engaged that business, asked them to participate in the project. Within a week, it was up. And then there was a shooting incident, and we were able to make an arrest due to the high quality that these cameras have, and we were able to zoom in. It actually follows certain objects or people. So this technology is there. We just have to embrace it. It's not there. It's not Big Brother watching. It's eyes to help catch criminals who are involved in.
It's like you led the segment with. The camera is the new witness, and the camera doesn't have to worry about retaliation. It's just a camera, so it can do what it's supposed to do. There's another part of this that we haven't talked about yet, and that's a lot of the outreach and intervention initiatives that are going on. talk to me a little bit about what's going on, particularly in schools, to help increase participation.
Sure. Let me community engagement works, focused deterrence works, hotspot policing. Summer of hope. We know what the summer looks like. Our kids out of school. We have so many initiatives that we're working together with the community, with the mayor's office. This summer in particular, we're going to be focusing on Summer of Hope again. We know last year we saw some decreases compared to previous summers when we engage the community, when we're out there, when we keep our youth active. So we're asking everybody to go to summerofhopebr.com. That's summerofhopebr.com. And we're going to be focusing on the Banks area, the Zion City area, the Brookstown, Melrose East, Bel Air, Glen Oaks, Gardea, Dixie, the Park, Tigerland, and the Bottoms. Those are areas based on data that we've identified that we want to focus on to keep youth and to keep crime down in those communities this summer. We know we had success. We're building on the progress from last year, working with community partners, and we're asking everybody to go there, get involved, and be part of the process and help us identify solutions. You know, the bigger the coalitions, Safe BR initiative, all the great work that's going on with the mayor's Safe, Hopeful, and Healthy initiative, and so many. So when we build coalitions, we get new ideas, right? We open up different audiences. And I think when the community see that we are all working together to address this issue, because crime is not just a police issue, it's a community issue. And we're working together as a community to solve those issues.
He is Baton Rouge Police Chief Murphy Paul. We always appreciate the time. With the summer just around the corner, it's good to know we're one step ahead.
Yes,
one
sir.
step ahead. Chief Paul, greatly appreciate it.